What if the biggest threat to your potential isn't your financial limitations, it isn't your job, it isn't stress or burnout, but the version of you that keeps telling yourself, I'll deal with this later? In the next 30 minutes, I'm going to walk you through 6 questions that have the power to either bolster your marriage, reshape your fatherhood, and realign your legacy, or expose the drift that most men don't notice until it's too late. You see, these are not motivational questions. These are mirror questions. They're going to force you to look at yourself in the mirror. And if you're brave enough to answer them honestly, you will not walk away the same after this episode. I know that's a big promise, but I promise I'll follow through. Now let's dig in. Welcome to the Dad Nation podcast, the place where high-performing men are empowered to reclaim their home, their health, and their happiness while enhancing their career success. You see, in a world full of noise, burnout, and mediocrity, we believe what's missing is courageous and compassionate leadership in the home, because when the dad gets better, the whole family wins. You see, this isn't just a podcast. It's a movement for men who refuse to settle for less in their families, in their focus, and their future. We are curse breakers and we are legacy makers. I am your host, Mitchell Osmond, and I'm honored that you've chosen to invest your most valuable asset, which is your time, with me today. Now let's get into it. Well, friend, brother, welcome back to the Dad Nation podcast, the place for men who are winning professionally and refuse to lose at home. If you're a husband, a father, or a leader, and you've ever thought, I should be happier than this, or I don't know why home somehow feels harder than work, well, this episode is for you. Today, like I said in the beginning, I'm going to give you 6 questions not to think about, not to nod along with, but to answer, because self-awareness without action is self-deception. But before we jump into it, can I just say something? Can I just get something off my chest? All right. You have no idea that, I'll tell you what, if you want to be an influencer, if you want to start an Instagram page, if you want to host a podcast, you better learn to get some thick skin. Okay, boy, I've been getting some trolls coming out of the woodwork, coming out from under the bridge like crazy lately. The things these guys say are absolutely vile. Okay? Could you imagine what it would feel like to wake up with the sole intention to search some pages on Instagram to disrespect these guys, disrespect the women, whatever, just because you have such a fragile ego that you can't handle being called up, and do all this only to get deleted or blocked? I mean, come on. I don't know about you, but that's not the life I want to live. All right. So listen, if you are listening to this today and you are one of those guys, if you're the kind of guy listening today and you get angry and frustrated when you listen to the show because I am maybe challenging your thinking or holding you to a standard, maybe you can either shift your thinking, jump on this bus, and let's ride to a better marriage. Let's ride to, more fitness. Let's ride to being better, stronger fathers, more present, or get off the bus and don't listen to the show. You get to choose, all right? Maybe this show ain't for you, and that's totally fine by me. Or maybe you're listening to this and you're a troll on my Instagram. Please unfollow. Please continue to scroll on, okay? I was talking to a client about this the other day, and I'm like, I'm about surrounding myself with men who are going to champion each other, to encourage one another, to spur one another on, to sharpen each other as iron sharpens iron, as the Word of God says. So just had to get that off my chest. All right. That's good. That's good. One of my professors at one point said, hey, if no one, in the context of leadership, he said, if everyone gets along with you and everyone loves you, you're doing something wrong in leadership. And you know what? I couldn't agree more. Okay, so now that everyone who needs to be here is here and listening, and maybe got a little chuckle out of this, let's jump into question number 1. I love this question. Here it is. If my wife described the man I've been this month, would I be proud or would I get defensive? Now, this question cuts through every excuse. And the question is, how did she experience you? Not how did you experience you? Was your presence calming? Or did she feel like she had to manage your moods? You see, research from psychology consistently shows this. Marital satisfaction is less about intent and more about emotional experience. In other words, your effort doesn't matter if it doesn't land. You see, most men don't fail their marriages because they don't care. They struggle in their marriages because they protect their self-image instead of protecting the relationship. Let me say that again. Most men don't struggle in marriage because they don't care. We all love our wives. We struggle because we are trying to protect our self-image instead of trying to protect the relationship. So here's the invitation and the challenge. This week, I want you to ask your wife, what's one way that I've been difficult to be married to lately? What's one way that it's been hard to be married to me lately? Don't explain, don't defend, don't correct her, don't coach her, right? The book of Proverbs says the wise listen and add to their learning. Okay? Listening is leadership, especially in the marriage. Okay? You want to lead your wife, you want to lead your kids, learn how to listen. Nobody likes a dictator. Okay? Question number 2 for you to consider as we are still in this month of January and going strong on our resolutions, I'm sure. Question number 2, what emotion do I avoid feeling at all costs, and how is it leaking out anyway? Here's the thing. Every man avoids something. For some, it's shame. For others, it's fear. And for many, it's sadness. And the emotion you avoid internally will always leak out externally. If you avoid sadness, it's going to become anger. If you avoid fear, it's going to become control. If you avoid shame, it's going to leak out as withdrawal. Neuroscience confirms this. Emotions that aren't processed don't disappear. They redirect. They redirect. And this is why so many men say things like, I don't know why I snapped, or I don't know why I shut down. Listen, you're not bad at emotions. You were just trained to suppress them. And that's part of the male wiring. But hear me say this. You might have heard me say this on the show before. Your wiring may explain you, but it does not excuse you. Okay? So here's your action step for question number 2. I want you to name the emotion that you avoid. And let me lead the way by practicing a little vulnerability. Okay? You know what my emotion is I avoid? One that I hate addressing, acknowledging, talking about? Insecurity. I hate admitting that deep down there are areas that I have insecurity in. So I have to daily fight that urge to mask it, to cover it up, to hide away from it, because it spills out in all kinds of different areas, because I overcompensate and I become rigid and I become whatever with my wife, right? So I have to face that. So what's the emotion that you avoid? And the next time that emotion shows up, don't fix it. Don't numb it. Just allow yourself to feel it for 90 seconds. Maybe it's anger, maybe it's sadness, maybe it's, whatever. I guess insecurity is not really an emotion, but it's certainly a state of thinking, which provokes emotion, certainly. But on the topic of emotions and keeping your cool, for example, because that's what happens when my, insecurities are pressed. I want to give you a simple acronym that's going to help you process when you feel your blood starting to boil, or next time something goes wrong and your wife triggers you, or the kids aren't listening, or your boss gets under your skin. I want you to remember the RAIN acronym, okay? And work through it in your mind. Here's what RAIN stands for, R-A-I-N. Number 1, recognize. Here's what I want you to just simply acknowledge your feelings in the moment. Stop in that moment and recognize the reality of what's happening and that your emotions are elevated. Basically, you're just admitting the reality of what's going on. For example, okay, look around the room. I can tell I'm getting a little bit dysregulated. I'm getting angry. I'm getting frustrated. I'm getting sad. I'm getting whatever. Step number 2, I want you to allow, okay? This is where you get to lean into your thoughts and into your feelings because you have to accept them. Because if you don't accept them, you're going to suppress them. So here's what you do. You tell yourself that it's okay to feel this way. You actually give yourself permission to accept and allow this. So, for example, if you feel yourself getting angry, you feel yourself, your blood pressure going through the roof, right? You just acknowledge that in your mind. Okay, I'm getting angry. All right, now you're going to allow it. Okay, it's okay to feel this way. Just because I feel angry doesn't mean that I'm an angry man. So before you go down that trail of shaming yourself and beating yourself up, allow it, accept it. The third step is investigate. So now that you've recognized the situation, you've allowed and acknowledged your feelings, now you can investigate your thoughts. This is where we do the work, okay? This is where it gets tactical. So I want you to check out how your feelings are affecting your body. Is it making your face hot? Is it making your head throb? Is it making your chest feel buzzy? Check in with yourself and identify how these feelings are affecting you physically. Investigate them. And the last step, N, is probably the most critical. And it stands for non-identification. Okay? This is the most crucial step. This is the part where you remind yourself that just because you're feeling angry or jealous or fearful or whatever, this does not make you an angry man or a jealous man or a fearful man. Do not identify with these feelings. So I want you to remember that. Rain, recognize, allow, investigate, non-identification. This is not weakness. If you got to do this, does not mean you're weak. This is wisdom. This is emotional mastery. This is what the strongest men do, because strong men, masculine men, are slaves to no one. Okay? They're slaves to nothing, especially their own mind. But so many men walk around, we're slaves because we're constantly giving our power away to other people. I had a conversation with a client about this week. It was a friendship that it just kept triggering him, and he kept letting this guy say things that would throw him off, and he'd lose sleep. I'm like, listen, man, take the power back. Set up some boundaries, because the moment you allow yourself to be impacted negatively, emotionally, you are giving your power away to that person. So we work through a process on how to do that. It's very powerful. All right. Question number 3. Where am I still winning like a single man while expecting to be loved like a married one? Ho ho! I love this one. Let me ask you that again. Where am I still winning like a single man while expecting to be loved like a married one? I needed to hear this one today. Oh, man. This one hits hard for high performers. Because here's the thing. You were rewarded for speed. You were rewarded for independence, for output. But marriage, however, is built on pace, availability, partnership, quality time. And here's the thing. Men are loyal, but often they're not emotionally available. See the difference? They're faithful, but not felt. This is why Scripture says in Ephesians 5:25, husbands, love your wives just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. Notice Scripture doesn't say managed her, provided for her. He gave himself up. He gave everything, literally his entire life for the church. So we have to do the same for our brides. So I want you to ask yourself, what behavior helped me succeed when I was single, but is quietly eroding intimacy now? What behavior helped me succeed when I was single, but is quietly eroding intimacy in my marriage now? Or intimacy with my kids? Relational intimacy, right? Whatever. Now, again, let me be transparent. Let me model this for you. What's a behavior that I had when I was single that can easily erode intimacy in my marriage? Well, it's my drivenness. It's my ambition. It's my drive. It's an inner fire. I had a conversation with another entrepreneur the other day. He called it the double-edged sword. It's a weird place to be in. And here's the thing. It's often the thing that attracts your wife to you in the first place. I know it's what attracted my wife. She loved how ambitious I was. She loved how much vision I had and how tenacious I was and how bold I was. That was the thing that actually, one of the things, she probably one of the reasons why she married me. But it became a point of tension in our marriage at certain seasons. And that's the crazy thing about marriage. It's the things that we love the most about the person when we're dating becomes the thing that sometimes is the biggest point of tension in our relationship. Why? Because in my situation, there were points when my wife felt second or third. In fact, sometimes she didn't even make the podium. But here's the thing, it's hard to have intimacy when your wife is getting your leftovers. I learned that lesson the hard way, brother. So I was honest with you. So now I want you to be honest with me. All right? What is it for you? What is that quality for you? Pick one. And I want you to replace it this week. Or think about how you can get some balance in there. All right? Your wife does not deserve your leftovers. Your kids do not deserve your leftovers. And hey, you know what? Before we move on, this is where a lot of men realize something so important. It's not that they don't care. It's not that they're failing, but they realize doing things alone isn't working. So let me take 60 seconds and speak directly to the man who's feeling that right now. Let me ask you something, and I want you to really think about this. Are you winning at work, but quietly kind of losing ground at home? Maybe you're the guy people rely on. You stay calm in meetings. You carry that pressure all day, and you kind of wear that like a badge of honor. But maybe when you walk through the front door at home, your wife feels distant. Conversations feel shorter. And instead of being excited to come home, maybe work feels easier. Here's the hard truth. Nothing is broken, but something is slowly drifting. And if you're telling yourself right now, I'm going to fix this when things slow down, or I'm going to fix this when things get easier, if you're honest with yourself, you already know they won't slow down. They won't get easier. Well, the high-performance husband is for men who are done coasting. It's for men who want to win at home like they win at work. You see, this isn't therapy. It's not about fixing your wife. It's not for men who want quick hacks. It's for men who want to be calm under pressure, strong in their body, clear in their thinking, and to become the man that your wife and kids look up to with pride. So if you're listening to this and you know that what got you here won't get you where you want to go, I want you to go to dadnationco.com/accelerator or click the link in the show notes below, and then you can apply to join this accelerator and join myself and many other like-minded men who are leveling up in their home, in their health, and their happiness. They're winning all year long. It's a 12-month mentorship. It's going to change your life. All right, now let's jump back into the episode. All right, question number 4. When my kids remember my voice, will it sound like safety or pressure? That is weighty. I was thinking about that a couple days ago. When my boy becomes, 15, 16 years old, how will he remember my voice? Will it be a calming voice, a safe voice, or a place of pressure, a place of performance? Here's the thing. Your kids won't remember every lesson you taught. However, they will remember how it felt to disappoint you, how it felt to make mistakes around you, because your tone teaches far more than your words. And studies on child development show that a father's emotional regulation is one of the strongest predictors of a child's long-term emotional security. Here's the thing, brother. You can be firm without being frightening. You can be authoritative without being explosive. I love this scripture from Ephesians 6:4. It says, "Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the training and instruction of the Lord." So here's the rule. Lower your voice before you raise your authority. I want you to remember this. Connection first, correction second. Or I'll say that again. Connection first, correction second. Is that good? I don't know. I don't know about you, man, but I think that's good. If you got to pause for a minute and just really think about that, how will my kids remember my voice? Question number 5. Let's jump into it, okay? We're almost on a home stretch. Love this question. What part of my life looks successful but feels hollow, if I'm honest? This is the question that men avoid the longest. You see, what happens is the calendar is full, the income is solid, the optics look great, but something feels empty. And then that emptiness is uncomfortable. So men numb this discomfort with things like work, working more, overworking, porn, alcohol, scrolling, busyness, until their marriage or their kids or both pay the price. You see, your action step is simple, but it may not be easy, and there's a difference. I want you to remove one numbing behavior this week. Remove one checkout behavior this week. What do you do to check out? What are you doing to numb out? Remove one and sit with what is hiding underneath. That discomfort, that's clarity knocking at your door. Sit with it, process it. All right, the last question. And this one hits home for many guys, many of my clients, but many guys who I jump on sales calls with, I'll ask them this question because it's sobering. Here it is. If my child modeled their future after me, would I call that a win? And now I want you to split this up honestly. If you're listening to this and you've got a son, you can ask yourself this question. If my son lived exactly like me, handled stress like me, treated his wife like me, spoke to his kids like me, would I be proud or would I be quietly concerned? And if you're listening to this and you are a girl dad, I want you to ask yourself this. If my daughter married a man who led like me, who loved like me, handled pressure like me, would I feel peace about that? Would I be happy that my daughter married him? Or if I'm honest, deep down, I would want better for my daughter. You see, this question removes every excuse. Not your potential, not your intentions, your actual model. Because legacy is a choice that is made daily. So I want you to pick one habit today that the future you, your future wife, and your future children will thank you for. Pick one habit. And I want you to put it on your calendar, and I want you to protect it like it matters. And I want you to invest in your future self, not rob him. We've done an episode. I've referenced that episode a couple times before. I think it's episode 61, the one concept that changed my life forever. It's this idea of investing in your future self or robbing from him. Listen, I want you to act like this matters because it does. Pay it forward to your future self, man. He deserves it. Okay, so as we wrap up this episode, I got a couple things that I want you to consider, okay? These 6 questions, like I said, are not for observation. They're not for light reflection. These 6 questions are mirrors. They're intended to make you take a good, honest look at the life that the life you're living and the man you're becoming, because we're always becoming. Who are you becoming, right? Powerful questions that have the potential to change your trajectory. So here's what I want you to do. Before you listen to another podcast episode, before you implement some other biohack, some red light therapy, I don't know, whatever is big these days, before you optimize another system, before you set another goal, I want you to answer these questions. Write them down, right? Speak them out loud. Better yet, ask your wife. And if it's age appropriate, ask your kids. Invite them into the process. Say, hey, Dad's trying to get better. I want to be a better man for you. I want to be a better father to you. I want to be a great model for you. What do you think? Ask them. And don't shame yourself, right? This is not about shaming yourself. This is about leading yourself. And if while listening to this episode today, you realized, I don't need more information. I need structure. I need accountability. I need a brotherhood of men doing this work seriously, taking this work seriously, and getting results. That's exactly why I built the High Performance Husband Accelerator. Our first call is tonight. If this is airing on Monday, Monday, January 19th, it's going to be our first call with the men in this community. And I'm going to be funneling guys in here all year. And this accelerator does not exist to make you softer, but more grounded. Not to dull your edge, but to sharpen it and to aim it where it matters the most. So if you feel that pull, there's no pressure, but there is an invitation. I said this earlier in the show, but you can go to dadnationcode.com/accelerator. There's still a few spots available. We're doing the whole year together, 12 months, and we're getting after it. Reigniting our marriages, rebuilding our bodies, rewiring our mind and our emotions. So you can hit the link in the show notes below and see if this is the right next step for you. So last thing here for you today, thank you so much for showing up. I thank you to every single one of you who are listening that made this podcast as popular as it is. Thank you. Thank you for being willing to be called up, to level up as a man, as a husband and father, because we know when the dad gets better, the whole family wins. I'll never stop saying that. And hey, if this episode challenged you, and you know a friend that it would challenge as well, probably as I'm saying this, there's a name that's coming to mind. Okay, I want you to share it with that guy who just came into your mind. All right? And I want you to remember this. Strong men do not avoid hard questions. They face them and they answer them. And then they take action. Okay? Listen, I'm going to see you next week. All right? Appreciate you for listening. I'm in your corner. We'll talk soon. Thank you for tuning into the Dad Nation podcast today. Listen, if today's conversation challenged you, if it encouraged you or helped you level up in any area of your life, would you do me a favor? Take 60 seconds to rate and review the show on whatever platform you're listening on. This helps us reach more men who need to hear this message. And if you haven't already done so, subscribe to the Dad Nation YouTube channel, where you're going to find full episodes, clips, and exclusive content designed to help you win at home just like you do at work. All right, remember, your family does not need perfection. They need your presence. Your leadership matters. So keep showing up, keep leveling up, and never forget, when the dad gets better, the whole family wins. We'll see you next time.